Hey guys, Tess here from www.itsyourtherapy.com, and we are here today to discuss the 5 stages of grief given the Kubler-Ross model. Number 1 is denial. So this is denying that a loss has actually happened. And a loss doesn't have to be a loss of a person, an actual death of a person. It can also mean the loss of a relationship, the loss of an idea or an expectation, or a fantasy that you had that you are now either trying to avoid that it actually isn't going to come true, or it's not going to manifest itself, and so therefore you are denying that this loss is occurring or has occurred. In this stage, you might be saying to yourself, this is not happening, I'm fine, everything's okay. Those are red flags that everything is not okay and you're not fine, and you probably have some grieving to do. Another thing you might say is, I don't need any help. Again, I'm fine. Everything's okay, right? Wrong. It's not okay. You're not fine. And most likely, help would benefit. The second stage is anger. So this means that you've recognized that the loss is true, or you're wrestling with the idea, and the way that you're thinking about the situation angers you. So that could be envious of somebody else that doesn't have to go through this, or envy for a survivor, or jealousy of somebody else who's moved on in a relationship and you're not quite there yet. It could mean many things. But anger often stems from our thought processes about the loss, and it is okay because it's all a part of the grieving process. We don't have to accept it right away. And when we first realize that it is true, the anger is a natural part of this process, and that's great because you are on your way to processing grief. You might be saying to yourself at this stage, this isn't fair. Why did this happen to me? And have that kind of self-pity victim mentality. And oftentimes we want to find out who is responsible, or worse yet, we want to find out who to blame. We might say it's my fault, or it's her fault, or it's his fault, or it's the world's fault, or whatever other reason that we rationalize that it's somebody's fault so that we can have a closure to the situation, and maybe we don't have to blame ourselves, or if we are blaming ourselves, at least there's some, we feel, resolution to the issue, but that really isn't resolution. A resolution would be to take responsibility for what you can, ask yourself, how can I learn from this? And then you can start moving on. This brings us to the third stage, which is bargaining. You may be asking yourself, how can I find a solution for this problem? How can I fix it? How can I make it right? How can I undo it? What could I have done differently? What could I do differently? And we might even be praying to God, in the anger stage, why did you make this happen to me? And the bargaining stage, God, there is some hope in you, and you say, please, can you fix this? Or, your brain is looking for ways to undo the loss. So you haven't accepted completely that it is a loss. Instead, you're trying to find out ways to prevent the loss from completely occurring, and most likely to avoid the feelings that come along with loss. If it's the loss of a loved one, you might say, take me instead. You might beg, I'll do anything for just a few more days with this person. Or if it's you, maybe you have a fatal illness that you've been diagnosed with, and you're like, can I just have a few more days with my children, or a few more months to go do this or that thing? There's hope there, and it feels like a positive thing. And this all means that you're still in that grieving process. The fourth stage is most likely the most uncomfortable stage, and this is depression. This is extreme feelings of sadness and lack of motivation, and there is also a sense of certainty that the loss has definitely happened. And again, this is a really good thing. So if you're in the stage, I want to encourage you to sit with it. Don't dwell on it, and Only allow yourself to be there for moments to minutes in a day and not agonize, but get some help and have ways of letting it out, whether it be journaling, talking to a friend, writing a letter to the thing that you lost or the person or place or idea. Whatever it is, get it out of yourself. There are lots of ideas that you can look up on the internet. If you would like some of those ideas, I am happy to provide maybe like a PDF pamphlet of different ideas for you to try that will help you move through this loss and process it versus sitting and dwelling in the depression, because it is a real stage and you definitely feel the sense of loneliness, emptiness at times, and overwhelming sadness, which leads to that lack of motivation to sometimes even get up and brush your teeth or wash your face or do your laundry or get out of bed. But allowing yourself some time to go through that is the most beneficial way of dealing with it. You have to go through, not suppress, and there's no real way around it. So going through it is the most brave and beneficial thing that you can do. Crying is often inevitable in this stage and very productive. Even our tears, the different kinds of tears that we cry or are excreted from our tear ducts, have actually been scientifically proven to have different chemicals such as cortisol, which is stress hormone. And if you are crying over a loss, you are letting out some of that stress, and it can be very cathartic and releasing and freeing and relieving for you to cry. So grab a Kleenex box and give yourself an hour or less. In this stage, others might describe you as isolating or being silent or even negative or just sad all the time and unmotivated. You might shut others out. And again, this is okay if you're just being alone with your thoughts. It's not okay if you're blaming and shaming and self-loathing, self-pitying, all those negative emotions that we can tend to stew on and spiral downward and stay in a depression longer than necessary. What I'm trying to promote is that it is normal to feel and sense depression and have a deep sense of loss and sadness, and this is a healthy part of the grieving process, but you don't have to stay there, live there, dwell there. You can work through it and you can stop yourself. You are in control of how much depression you feel, and you can allow yourself to distract with other things and keep going in your daily life and keep the structure and your routine and your lifestyle going, while also allowing yourself different moments, hours in the day to process what your body naturally needs to process. There is a sense of certainty that the loss has occurred in this stage. So you might ask yourself things like, what's the point? Why even live now? Why even go on? What is the point of me? What do I have to live for now? Why even bother with hope? Because now the hope is gone that you can retrieve what could be lost. That's okay, because now you're actually realizing that the loss has occurred, and now you can move on out of the depression stage into the last stage, which is the 5th stage, acceptance. A sign that you are in the acceptance stage is that you are willing to start again. And there is a newfound hope that things can start again and you can still be you or move on in a new chapter of your life or a new season, or turn a new leaf for yourself and move on with this loss. Now, having this loss, you can move on. Now that you have conceived that the loss has occurred, you might tell yourself, everything happens for a reason. I'm going to be okay. I can't change what happened, but everything happens for a reason and I'm going to be okay.